Hey guys, so you clicked the video because you want to know why I don't think the 23 Canam 1000 Renegade XMR is the best machine. And I just don't. I think for the money that it's worth, I don't know. I think they're missing a lot of things here. Let's start with number one. 2023 Renegade 1000 XMR is a purpose-built mud machine. It's claimed to be, or at least thought to be, the best mud machine on the market. But I ask myself and other people why do you feel that way? Because so far, from my personal experience of owning this machine for about 7 or 8 months, and probably logging about 800 kilometers, is that it's lacking quite a few things in my opinion. First one, and probably one of the most important, is the rad. You know, to come with no rad relocate kit as a purpose-built mud machine, and arguably or thought to be the best mud machine, not having a rad relocate kit to me is crazy. You need that rad up top. You got to keep your bike cool. So that's a big one for me. Secondly, I don't think Canam picked the right tire for this machine. You know, coming with a call it a 29-inch ITP cryptid is just not the right tire for this machine. And it's not that ITP tires are bad. I'm a big fan of their tires. I just don't think it's big enough. I mean, at least for here in Ontario, for our market and where we ride all over the province, every trail is just dug out to the bottom of the earth, you know, and the ruts are huge. And these days, you know, a 29-inch tire is not enough. Like a true 30 will get you through a lot more. So I think they did fail with picking the right tire for the machine. It's just not big enough. Not coming with a hitch receiver. You know, if you're a mud person, if you ride a lot of mud, you know you're getting pulled out, whether that's forward with your winch or somebody's towing you out from behind. And not having an adequate spot to put a pull strap, it's just not okay. So I feel like for the money you're spending on these machines, like, I don't know, what are they, 25 plus grand, to not have something as simple as a hitch receiver, a 2-inch hitch receiver, to me is definitely a fail as well. One thing I also don't like about this machine is the front plastics. You can see on the rad relocate, well, since putting the rad relocate rather, that makes pulling this off to maintain your air filter like a very daunting chore, which should be something super easy. So it's encouraged to do it more often, like after every ride. Check it out. Now on the Outlander, they did such a great job on giving you access to that air filter. So yeah, I would argue that it's just not the best machine right out of the factory. Like, you know, arguably it could be one of the best performing mud machines after you sink quite a few bucks into it. Like, you got to get a rad relocate kit. You know, you got to get new tires. In my opinion, at least for Ontario, for our climate and our trails, you need new tires. 29-inch ITP cryptids are not going to cut it. I don't even think I rode with those tires. I think the moment I got home with this bike, the tires were swapped to EFX Motoslayers, a true 30, which this is like the perfect tire for this machine. I've had a lot of great things to say about these tires. They work, and you get that extra bit of ground clearance, which is crucial when you're riding a mud machine. Other than that, like, I do believe that they are clutched right out of the factory, even with the slight increase in tire size to a true 30. They respond well still. Tons of snap, it's fine. I have no complaints about the clutch. Other than that, you know, it's a great bike. I have a lot of fun with it. It definitely does the job. It definitely is a high performance mud machine. But, like, you know, I hear people say, well, you need more power, and that's why you get a 1000. I can tell you from personal experience, my Canam Outlander 850 XMR, I don't notice a difference in power on the throttle. And granted, sure, you know, I wasn't running 34-inch tires, which I'm not a fan of. You know, I think even for mud machines, like, unless you're running mud competitions and you're a bounty hole guy, I don't think you're doing a justice to anybody by buying 34-inch tires. I think you're digging out the trails, you're making them pretty shit. And I don't think you should have 34 inches on the trail. And to be honest with you, if it was up to a vote for the OFATV, the Ontario Federation, our trail systems here, I would vote against any tire bigger than 32 inches on our trails. Some of you may hate me for that, but I believe that. Because there's a lot of people that don't ride just mud, right? And they have stock machines and small 27, 28-inch tires that aren't mud tires, no snorkels, and they just want to get out and ride. And then they get into these cross sections where, you know, you're faced to either go straight through the deep shit, or you take the cut out. And these days, because so many people take the cut out with 30-inch tires, those are dug out to crap. So I just don't think this is the best out of the factory mud machine. I truly believe, and I'll argue this with anybody, that the Canam 850 XMR is the best out of the factory mud machine, hands down. It already comes with a rad relocate kit. It's got fenders, so it does keep you a little cleaner, which, you know, people will say, well, why'd you buy a Renegade if you want to stay clean? It's like, well, guys, I don't want to stay clean, but I also don't want to be soaking wet if I ride through a freaking puddle. You know, I just don't see the appeal to that. So in my opinion, you know, the Renegade 1000 XMR is not the best out of the factory mud machine. I definitely give that to the Outlander 850. That is just a good platform. Probably, in my opinion, I'm sure a lot of people will agree with this, probably the best platform. And you put a couple grand into an Outlander, like just tire upgrade. That's all you really need to do. Like people, you know, swear up and down about getting clutches done and, you know, getting a tune and this and that just to have some more fun on the machine and making it more capable. Like I don't believe that to be true. I think stock tune is fine. Stock clutch is fine. You know, you can run a true 30-inch tire on the Outlander, maybe with a little bit of trimming on the plastics. And that's just a capable machine. And they handle much better, you know, trying to traverse other terrain. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, people will say, well, don't buy a mud machine if you're a trail guy or you want to go, you know, do some extreme moto stuff, climbing, you know, steep rock faces and so forth. But the reality of it is, like I kind of mentioned about the trails here in Ontario, is that, you know, they're so rutted, so deep, and a lot of the holes get so deep and so filled with water that, you know, you almost, like, you, in my opinion, you need a snorkel if you want to ride Ontario trails. If not, you're running a big risk, or you're going around everything, doing a lot of bushwhacking. So I think a snorkel is a must. So it's not so much that you want to buy a mud purpose machine. You just want to buy the best all-around machine for the cheapest initial investment, which to me, Canam 1000 or Canam 850 Outlander XMR is that machine. You know, so yeah, I mean, I do love this machine. I have a lot of fun on it, but again, I've put a few bucks into it. You know, I had to get a rad relocate kit. I actually had to buy a new radiator because my stock one got so packed with mud on a couple rides that there was no way to clean it without, you know, removing it and soaking it and then doing that. So I tried to take a shortcut and, you know, took a little bit of a power washer to it and a garden hose to it and some compressed air and ended up damaging the crap out of the fans. So, you know, so I was forced to buy a new rad when I bought the rad relocate kit. But again, you know, rad relocate, you're like, you know, $600-ish Canadian to just to buy it. And if you're capable enough to install it, there you go, man. You're $600 in with probably 4 hours in labor. Or for a lot of guys that ride, they don't have the skills to install a rad reload. So now you're paying labor. So you could easily be in excess of $1,000 just like that, just to make sure your bike's gonna run cool, which it needs to. So I think that's a big fail on Canam. I think if you're gonna make a so-called, you know, best mud machine and a 1000 platform, I think the front needs to be redesigned to include a rad relocate kit. And yeah, for that kind of money, that just, it really does blow my mind that it is lacking that. And again, something as small as a hitch receiver, like you need that. You need a hitch receiver. You got to be able to pull your shit, you know. You got to pull. You got to be able to get yourself out of the mud, you know. So you need somewhere to hook on. So the hitch receiver, that's another thing. And again, the IPT Cryptas that came with this bike, great tires, man. It is a great tire, but too small, you know. And I'd argue that it's not. I'd argue that it's not a mud tire. Like I really would argue that. Like, I mean, at least not an aggressive enough tread to have on a 1000 Renegade platform, you know. So that's my opinion. But other than that, I do love the machine. I love how easy it is to access your engine, to keep that clean, as well as to do your maintenance. You know, the Outlander, it's kind of a chore. You do have to pull some plastics off, and even the footwells in some cases. To take your, you know, do your oil filter change and that sort of thing. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. But yeah, honestly, guys, if I could do it all again, I would have kept my Outlander. I would have kept my 850 XMR Outlander. It was a 21. It's an awesome machine. I freaking love that machine. You know, that Canam Sunburst Yellow, like, paid homage to the BRP brand. Like, I loved that machine a lot. And again, it's not that I don't love this machine, but when I think about where I am today versus where I was, 8 months ago on that Outlander, and for how much more money this thing has cost, I just don't see that value. Again, unless you're a bounty hole guy, you want to ride bounty holes, you want to participate in mud competitions, and you want to slap a 36-inch tire on your bike, yeah, sure. I would say the Renegade's definitely better for a 36-inch tire, for sure. But yeah, for an overall self-proclaimed best mud machine, I don't know, my experience says that it's not. So if you are thinking about upgrading from an Outlander 850 XMR to a 1000 Renegade XMR, just some things to take into consideration, man. You're gonna have to upgrade your tires. You're gonna have to get a rad relocate kit. I fought against it for the first 6 months because I love the way this bike looks. I do think it is the best looking machine. That's like undebatable for my personal preference anyway. It's a great looking bike. And even with the rad relocate on it, like I thought I would hate it, I still think it's a great looking machine. But if you are gonna do that switch or that upgrade from an 850 Outlander to this platform, you're gonna spend a few bucks. And then I have a feeling you may sit back like me, or at least some people may, and say, shit, I don't think that money that I spent upgrading to the Renegade was worth it. I really don't. I miss my Outlander. I really do. I miss that machine. I really do. If I could do it again, I would have kept that bike. But again, some other things that are positive about this bike is the sight lines are crazy good. Like the body style is great. So even with the rad relocate kit, it really didn't affect my sight lines whatsoever, which is really nice for when you're running tight trail systems, with trees and everything around you. It feels very light on the handlebars. You can see everything. You put the bike exactly where you want to put the bike, which is nice. But you get wet. Even just a frickin' puddle on the ground, man, you're getting wet. So you almost need waders in your overcoat for even a trail ride because you're getting wet and you're getting muddy. That's my 2 cents on this machine anyway. Again, I love this bike. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to make it seem like I'm disappointed in it, but I think, again, if I could do it again, I probably would have saved myself at least $5,000. I would have had arguably just as much fun on my Outlander, if not more fun. That machine never lacked power. You stayed relatively clean. It already had a rad relocate kit. It's a good bike. Good bike. But I am happy with it. Whatever. It is what it is. What's done is done. I'm going to have this bike for a while now. I don't plan on changing bikes. I know I've pretty much had 2 new bikes a year for a couple of years, and for 4 machines, I think, since COVID. But this one's got to stick around for a while. Because again, I'm not rich. I'm not rich. I just love the hobby, and I invest a lot of my time and personal money into riding. So I think I'm at the point where I'm a little tapped out, though, at least for a few years. But anyways, guys, that's my 2 cents. So if you are thinking to get a Renegade, just some things to consider. Take your time, really think about it, really even write down on a piece of paper, man, what it's really going to cost you, and ask yourself if that's worth it to you. That's it, guys. Anyways, I appreciate you tuning into the video. I know it's a little different than what we normally would do, but appreciate you watching.